All right, we are live.
All right, welcome to the show.
What's up, man?
What's going on, Brandon?
I'm here. I just tried to get y'all on Instagram, and something not Transformer related popped up. So I'm like, okay.
Okay. Well, before we get into it, welcome to the Energon T podcast. This is your host, Wayne, aka 137, and I'll go ahead and I'll pass it over to Vash.
Hey everybody, it's your boy Vash, Triqqerhappy77 on Instagram and YouTube, and let's get the show started. What's up, Brandan?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you, Vash, for the alley hoop, the pass, the lateral. Y'all know what it is when it comes to sports terms. YeahBro Entertainment is in the house. We are the Energon Podcast Bros, and we want to thank everybody for coming out to welcome us on this show, and we appreciate you showing up. Because without you, it'd just be us talking to ourselves.
Which I do anyway, but either way.
Pretty much. What happened to your fancy mic, Vash?
Wait, could you not hear me before?
I could hear you, but it sounds like you're in a bathroom.
Oh, shoot. I'm all over the place. It's been a very long weekend, so...
okay.
I'm going to get it together now. It was matter of fact, today was very long because today, even though I have my my tailgate from New Age of the Primes line, even though I have that pre-ordered and I'm like supposed to sit back and relax and wait for it to come to me, since everybody's finding him, I was like, ooh, let me go look. And I went to Target and 3 Walmarts today and no signs of any new deluxe figures whatsoever.
Yeah, that's pretty much the life of a collector.
That's Virginia for you.
All right. Well, we got a special treat for you today and a special guest, so I'm going to go ahead and bring him to the stage. Welcome, ChrisJaam in the house.
What's up, guys? What up, Unks? How's it going, Unks?
We're starting out strong today. Okay.
Just finished barbecuing.
Oh, nice.
As an Unk should.
I'm not 40 yet, so I ain't reached Unk status.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're,
Okay.
you're not there yet either. But I'll admit it. I get some unk. I'm fine with it.
I don't know. These kids these days, anyone that's in their 30s is an unk.
I'm cool unk though. So
No, I'm still a little old school. Like anybody after 40 to me is unk status.
Yeah, I haven't got there yet.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
we were just talking about. We've been searching I've been searching the WalMarts trying to find new Transformers. ChrisJaam, are you a hunter? Are you a pre-orderer? Are you even collecting from the store? Because I know you're doing like mostly Masterpiece lately. What's going on with you?
I haven't hunted for a figure in probably a couple years now. I gotta say, like the last time I bought a figure in stores was probably like Legacy Armada Hot Shot 3 years ago. Like I can't tell you the last time I bought a figure in stores. But I actually just got the new 86 Target exclusive Starscream right here. Pretty good figure.
Okay.
Is that
Pretty
from,
hard to find.
Wait, which Starscream? Oh, you got the new 86 Starscream everybody's looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
You're one of the lucky ones.
I know, right?
Yeah, I think that was one that toy guy or something was given away recently at one of those conventions.
Yeah, that thing is a piece of work.
Yeah, this figure is actually still pretty good these days. I know you guys don't like the Bayverse Starscream design because it looks like a Dorito, but hear me out. It's still fire. Okay?
I love it.
Like there's a lot of like this is a Voyager class figure, and this is like what you would get for a leader class nowadays. Like it's got a bunch of spring-loaded like transformation gimmicks, and the articulation is still really good for today's standards. Like figures like that to me are fire still.
They were doing spring loaded. I thought they stopped spring loading things back in the 80s when kids were shooting their eyes out.
Nah, they just stopped making them sharp.
They probably, I mean, they were doing spring load stuff in the 2000s. They probably stopped doing that like 10 years ago, I want to say. So like, you know, for like budget cut reasons and whatever else, they moved that more to like the kiddie toy lines for like the 5-year-olds and stuff like that. So don't really get that with newer figures, but the older figures you used to still.
The last time I had a spring-loaded figure was the Red Lion from Voltron. That was way back in the 80s. But the heads would spring off. And I shot that thing across the room, and I, till this day, have never found that head.
Man.
That's horrible.
I've done that probably too many times to count with figures when I was a little kid. It's crazy.
Yeah. My Bayverse Starscream had none of its missiles left. Each time I moved, like 2 more went missing.
Yeah, that's one of the things I don't like about that figure. Like, they not only have the buttons there for you to press for the missiles to fire, but there's also a gimmick there where you turn.
I think you spin it.
Yeah,
you start shooting them.
Yeah, it's so annoying. Like they have the button right there. It's that gray piece like right there. But then you could also spin it to fire the missiles. I don't know why they would do that.
Yeah, a lot of those Bayverse Transformers were wild.
So, all right. So let me ask you this. So you bring out that Starscream, and that's from. Wait, which one is that from? Is that from the Bumblebee movie?
No, it's from the Starscream.
It's from the first 2007 movie. This was like
it's just G1 Deco.
Yeah, it was a Target exclusive back in 2007.
So that's why it has the red. Because I'm looking at it like I know, like it does look like the original, but I was like, I knew he wasn't red. Okay, I get it now. I'm on board.
How old were you in 2007?
I was still 700.
I was like 4.
Oh, wow.
I was 27.
Bro, I saw the 2007 movie in theaters the day it came out, and I was 4 years old looking at Megan Fox on the big screen.
Yeah,
crazy.
That had to have been super awkward when you were 6 watching what was it, Dark of the Moon?
I was like 8 during Dark of the Moon.
Yeah, 8 during Dark of the Moon. They start the movie off with a supermodel's moon.
Oh, that was fire, bro! I was all up in there.
Yeah, I figured for the children. Yeah, me watching it as an adult, I'm like, good Lord.
Yeah, nowadays it's pretty cringe. Like they went from the title sequence to an ass shot. It's so bad now.
A typical Bayverse movie, though.
Yeah, I mean the action is still fire in that movie.
And when I say Bayverse, I don't mean Transformers only. I mean Michael Bay in general. If anyone's watched any of his movies.
Oh yeah, he has
Yeah.
a formula, but I love Michael Bay movies. I mean, I love most of his movies.
Big Easy says Jam said when he was a little kid, he's still a little kid.
Oh, come on, man.
This is the cookout. This is all unks here besides Brandon.
I remember when not Dark of the Moon.
Status.
What was the second one? Revenge of the Fallen.
Yeah.
Revenge of the Fallen.
I remember when Revenge of the Fallen came out. I was excited because I really enjoyed the first Michael Bay Transformers movie because to see live action, it was like it wasn't our Transformers, but it was Transformers. Michael Bay was still exciting, and I was like, this is great. So I love the first one. So when the second one came out, I was there in the movie theater ready to go, and it was so horrible to me. Like I really did not like the second one. That I've not only did I not go see the third, like banned everybody, but then the third one ended up like being really good.
Yeah.
I caught most of that. Paramount heard you complain and they started to DDoS you.
Yeah, no, I wish I had seen part 3 in the theaters because 3 was really good.
Yeah,
I watched them all.
Yeah, I saw all of them. I've seen all of them in theaters opening day. Like Dark of the Moon, the theater was packed. Like that was like June 20th, 20-something of 2011. The theater was packed. There were people cosplaying in the theater as like Bumblebee and stuff for that movie. It was like that was like the height of the Bayverse popularity for like pop culture. Like you could just tell when you went into that theater. And then like little by little, Age of Extinction, I think I went opening day, maybe opening week, I can't remember. But Age of Extinction, there wasn't as many people there. And then the last night, I think the last night might have been a full theater because they marketed that movie like hell. And that's like the worst Bayverse movie. And that was the first time I actually walked out of the theater like, what the hell did I just watch? Damn. Like the way they cut that movie up and edited it in like the aspect ratios, oh my god, that was so bad. First time watching, it was so terrible.
I'm gonna have to sit and watch it. I watched them all in theaters. I didn't mind them. I think what was really hard for a lot of people was the transition from Shia LaBeouf to Marky Mark.
Yeah, it was that too, and I think people were kind of moving on to like the MCU at the time, and like Paramount was trying to catch up to that too. Like they wanted to do their own cinematic universe, and that we all know that that totally flopped with the last
nowhere.
Night. Yeah,
too bad. G.I. Joe movie. They took a page out of the '86 movie and they killed the whole cast in the second G.I. Joe movie.
Yeah.
The Rock was like, I'm only going to star in this movie if I'm the star. So you're going to have to kill everybody. Channing Tatum, everyone.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably, you never know with The Rock. He seems like he only wants to be the main star with a movie.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
You can't kill Snake Eyes, though.
Not in Jumanji.
What?
Not in Jumanji. He had a cast of stars. Remember Jack Black, Kevin Hart, and then I don't know who the lady was, but she was.
Yeah, tell me how many of those movies you watched.
Wait, the girl in
kids.
The girl in Jumanji was the girl from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Not Mantis.
Gamora's sister. I forget her name.
Nebula.
The android.
Yeah.
Nebula. There we go.
I just know
about different.
If she's not blue, I'm not going to recognize her. Sorry.
Yeah, that's
nice.
I respect that she seems like two completely different people. Like I love that about actors. I can't do it.
No, I mean, Revenge of the Fallen was a fun watch for me in theaters. I was only 6, so I can't say too much about it because I wasn't an adult then. But the movie, to me, the second movie, I think is one of the funner Bayverse movies to watch. Like the forest battle alone. I mean, come on, that's like
forest battle was great.
Yeah, that's like Optimus Prime at his peak. And I know some people do not like the final battle, but how some of those shots were set up, as somebody who's a toy photographer like myself, like looking at some of those shots in the final battle, the way everything is framed in a camera, that is freaking peak. I'm sorry. And a lot of those practical effects, practical explosions, you don't see that with modern, superhero or action movies nowadays. And I think that's great, honestly.
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing, though. Like, I have nothing against Michael Bay. Like I said, I enjoy his, movies. I like his style. I like what he does. For me, I think my biggest issue was just the liberties that they took. I was just kind of like, I felt like they were just like, we can do anything. And I'm like, well, when you have a franchise with characters that people know, you can explore and things, but you kind of have to keep it within the, I don't want to say under the roof. Yeah, I guess under the roof of certain things. Like when in that X-Men movie, when they gave Deadpool all those powers, it was just like, whoa. Like,
yeah,
you got to remember who the characters are. So I think that was my biggest beef with that movie. But I love the action.
I mean,
like, I'll take you all on. Oh, it's great.
Yeah. I mean, I totally get the argument of like with the Bay movies. Like after the first one, they really started to kind of veer off from like the. I don't really think there was like source material for Transformers, but like what for like the characters. I totally get that, and I do agree. Like I do think you have to have some sort of familiarity with the characters, but. That was also at a time where Transformers was trying anything new with any different iteration. Like you look at like the cartoon at the time was animated. I mean, they did take heavy from G1 with animated, but that was its own thing too, with like the animation style and the storyline and the lore that they set up in that cartoon. And a few years prior, like there was Unicron Trilogy. That was the last series before animated, and they were doing so many things different with Unicron Trilogy. I mean, it was still more grounded in Transformers than what like Bayverse was, but they were doing a lot of new things there too. So I mean, like I do understand the argument of that, but you also got to remember like the era those movies came out of was like they were just trying new stuff with the brand. And nowadays, the last 10 or so years, it's been more so. Mostly nostalgia for the older properties, like not just G1, but Beast Wars, Unicron Trilogy, Animated, Prime, all that stuff.
No, I'm all about it. So I'll look at it like this. One of my issues with that particular movie, like, because the rest of the Bay things I didn't mind, but like when the girl who was seducing Sam, is that his name? Sam.
Yeah,
ended up being a robot. I was like, so wait, these aliens can make themselves look like humans, and instead of making yourself look like the world leader, you made yourself look like a college student to get this kid. And I'm just like, if Transformers could do that's a very, I wouldn't have gone that route. Like, if you could do that, just take over the world. Don't go after the college kid. So it was little things like that I was like, I don't mind you changing things up or adding or trying things, but like that just. To me, was like,
that was our first woman pretender.
Yeah, I mean that's your. I mean, you got Pretenders in the second movie. That's like G1 up the yin yang. Pretenders.
Yeah. But Pretenders is something useful.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it is a silly thing. It was obviously for like teenagers at the time to like gush over a girl in a movie, but
yep.
I do think the idea of Pretenders in live action, I think that was pretty cool looking. But yeah, I mean, the whole idea with her, I think they could have taken that whole sequence out with her and the movie wouldn't have changed like at all.
Correct.
They probably took out a bunch of stuff, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at some scenes online, if you look up like cut scenes from Revenge of the Fallen, there's like storyboards and animatics that they didn't like film even. So yeah, there's a lot cut from that movie.
Now, the one thing about that, I have an issue with Bayverse. He just left characters out and then you don't know what happened to them. So that's one thing I didn't like about the movie. Like the second movie was great because it built upon the first one. We know Jazz got destroyed, so he wasn't there. So now we had two new recruits come in. Then you got the twins. You made the twins the way they are to represent a certain stereotype for us to relate to. But then you do another movie where they're still alive, but you don't say where they're at. You don't show their face. You don't say, hey, we sent them on a side mission to here. They'll come back later in episode 4. You ain't do nothing. You just say, all right, new people. Now you're gonna get Dino. Now you're gonna get Drift. Now you're gonna get da da da. And they kept replacing. I'm like, how can you tell a story for a movie and you don't say what happens to the other ones, or at least show them getting destroyed like Megatron or Starscream? So I didn't. That's why I kind of didn't like the Bayverse. But when it came out, I was in college, so just for to say Transformers, I was there. But to say I was excited to see all of them, yes and no, because it's like every time you see it, like what more do they do now with this movie where it's not continuing after the first two didn't link up? That's my drawback on it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of stuff, like continuity is almost non-existent with those Bay movies. Like they just go from thing to thing. They add on to lore that doesn't make sense with the previous movie, with stuff that they explored in that one. You know, it's a lot of that stuff. It's pretty stupid. And the whole thing with the twins, like, I think they were actually taken out of that movie because of like how controversial they were at the time with the stereotypes from the second movie. So they were actually going to have a bigger role in the third movie because, like, you could see their cars are in the background of the third movie, but you know, obviously they're not actually there. They don't transform or anything, but you see them often in like the background in some scenes. A lot of their scenes were cut from the third movie because I think the studio like switched up things last minute, and they were like, you know, we don't want to like add these characters because of the overall reception of them from the second movie. So I think they just cut them completely because of that.
Well, let me ask you this, because Chris, you are you are a Bayverse fan. You're not so much only Bayverse, but you do enjoy the Bayverse movies. For like Wayne and I don't know about Brandan, but we had 4 seasons of Transformers to get to learn and love these characters. With the Bayverse movies, every movie gets like almost a new cast. Are you able to like characters and you know, like, because you only see them in one movie, it's not like you have a lot of familiarity with them because you don't see them as much, but are there characters that you're like, this is one of my favorites, or I really like seeing this one in the movies?
Yeah, honestly, as a little kid growing up with those movies, it was like, you know, when you see leaked stuff online, or like you see the figure get revealed, or a certain scene that showcases the new character in the movie, it wasn't really like, speaking for, you know, like kids who grew up with those movies, I don't think it was really so much like the characters themselves. I think it was like the designs, the cars, the figures that came out of those, because there's not much, you know, personality or characterization to go off with them, because you know, they barely have any scenes in the movies. They barely talk. So, you know, for me, it was mostly just going off of like the vibes, like the designs, and, you know, if they were showcased in an action scene that I thought was badass back then, like I would be like, okay, Sideswipe is dope. You know, Dino is dope. Wheeljack I love. So that's kind of how it was for me. And I think that's how it was for a lot of people growing up with those movies at the time.
So let me ask you, who is Dino really, Mr. Jam?
I mean, I think you could use either name, Dino or Mirage, because
okay, fair enough. I was making sure you named a G1 name for that character for the reference who he was supposed to be. So that's all I wanted.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was originally supposed to be Mirage, but because of, I forgot the exact details, but because of the deal they had with Ferrari, they had to name him Dino, because I think it's named after somebody like a head executive over at Ferrari has a name Dino there in Italy. So I think that's why they changed the name, because he was going to be named Mirage, but they also went with Dino for the movie.
Yeah, I guess Enzo Ferrari's late son, Alfredo Dino Ferrari, is why they renamed the character Dino. But yeah, he was supposed to be Mirage.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Who are we talking about? What movie is Dino in? Which character is this?
Dark of the Moon, the third movie. It was the red Ferrari.
I don't.
This guy.
Yeah, it was him.
This guy.
Wow.
It was right
Every
here.
time.
It was right here.
Wait, is that the one that transformed into a robot on the highway and the two like dogs transformed were chasing him? Okay. All right.
Yeah, I don't know where they're at, but yeah, that's them. This is a studio series, so I don't know how to change it. It's been a long time. We'll leave it like this.
That figure is so flimsy. I had to sell it. That figure is so flimsy, man.
Oh, they're in there.
The clear plastic on that thing. I transformed that figure one time. And I'm not somebody who manhandles figures. I have figures from 20, 30 years ago that are in great shape still. But you transform a modern figure with that much clear plastic on it, like that Studio Series Dino, you're going to get stress marks all over that damn thing. It is so annoying. I had to sell that. I couldn't stand that.
Well, this is as far as I got. I just popped that off. That's about it. The other one won't pop off.
You know, funny enough, I never had, and I was just saying this earlier when I was filming content, is I have never had any problem with clear plastic. I must be like God's chosen. The Matrix has chose me.
Lucky
because
you.
I've not had any problem with clear plastic. Now, my '07 Bumblebee figure, right out the box, his left door was broken. So the little thing that's like on the metal rod that's in there was cracked, like straight through. So as soon as I went to go transform him, his door like just broke right off. And I just had Bumblebee like in my case with like one wing, and I just never transformed it again.
Do you transform your Transformers often? All three of you?
No,
not all the time.
Not a lot, honestly.
It depends on the mood, and it depends on the transformer. Like Ultra Magnus, I have not even bothered trying to transform it.
I haven't touched them either.
I pulled that Unicron Soldier out of the box
Magnus?
today, and I was like, nah.
Yeah, he looks like he could be complicated, but if he's like, well, I haven't opened any of the primes, so but I hear he's a lot like Megatronus, or he's a remold or something.
It's the same figure.
Okay.
Oh.
I'm in the middle. Like, I had to stop filming my new not stop motion for More Than Meets the Eye Prowl, and because I know it's so hard to get these, I don't know if I'll get another one anytime soon. I'm like doing it like don't mess anything up. Can't break this. I'm really like on what is it? I'm on pins and needles, like trying to.
Oh yeah,
that's
yeah.
what him.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Fuck it. We'll do it live. I got one for you.
After this video, he's going up on the shelf to just stand there.
There goes Wayne. What is he getting?
Most frightening figure of the bunch. Clear plastic. I will transform it for the stream.
Oh man.
This figure cost me $140.
I used to have that figure, and I didn't touch it for I want to say close to a year. And I go to pick it up off my shelf, and I saw there was a crack on the leg where the clear plastic is. You don't even have to do anything with a figure that has clear plastic. As time goes on, like the pressure of the joints, they'll start to crack.
Yes. That happened to my first Studio Series 86 Jazz. Out of nowhere, I looked at it one day and the window was cracked. But even worse than that is my Kingdom Rewind that came with Kingdom Blaster. I picked him up, didn't even like grab it or squeeze. I just picked it up and his shoulder just disintegrated into like little chips of plastic.
Yeah, man, that's why I've made a lot of videos on my channel talking about how bad clear plastic is. If somebody over at YeahBro sees my videos, please stop using freaking clear plastic on these especially modern figures. Because I was saying this in a video I did a few days ago, but clear plastic on like some older figures is actually kind of durable. Like if you like certain Beast Wars figures who have clear plastic, they don't really break that easy. Like I have a Beast Wars Man Terror and Spidor. They have clear plastic joints, and they are still they're still intact. So I don't know, something around like the Robots in Disguise 2001 toy line, they started to use like cheaper clear plastic, and I don't know. Ever since then, clear plastic has just been awful for Transformers, and like that toy line had major problems with the clear plastic because like the Carr brothers, it was X-Brun, Prowl, and Sideburn. They have a lot of clear plastic joints on them. I think they're great figures. I think they're one of the best deluxe figures Hasbro's ever made, but they have a lot of clear plastic. And depending on how you mess around with those figures, they could break pretty easily. And I barely even mess with those figures, and I have a couple cracks on them.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Clear plastic is clear plastic. Is it made to last? I don't know.
Well, we know that we saw or we've seen that Hasbro has gotten tighter and cheaper with their budget, and I'm assuming that throughout time they've been like, oh, we can get this plastic cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, is what brought us to where we are today. Because I mean, just by your account, Chris, back in the day, the clear plastic wasn't an issue, and even though a lot of people don't have a problem with it now, there is evidence that there is issues with it overall.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes I get comments of people saying like, "Oh, I've never had issues with clear plastic, so I don't believe this." Like, and then what I usually say is absence of evidence isn't evidence of absence. So like you can't just go off of your own experience when hundreds or thousands of people on the internet over the last 15, 20 years have been saying otherwise.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. Now, while we're talking about all these issues and things we don't like, I wanted to kind of spend this evening talking about some of the things that we do like.
We do like.
Yeah. Okay. So, Frank, let's you know what, Wayne, I know you've had time to think about this. What's something about Transformers, whether it's the cartoons, the movies, the toys, the T-shirts, what do you like? What's something that you're like, you know what, this is one of my things that I enjoy?
Transformers, I think, for someone that has, and I'll say maybe like a space brain, I don't technically have like, actual documented ADHD or autism or whatever it is, but I like solving problems. I like doing puzzles, and Transformers are puzzles. And they're fun to play with. I've always enjoyed the designs. I've always been into like robots, cyberpunk, futuristic stuff, and just anything like that, like Transformers, Mask, GoBots, like all of that appealed to me. I think it was like not the Technobots from the Transformers, but I think there was like a cartoon called like Technics or something like that almost all of the cast of Transformers was on before Transformers and GoBots were even a thing. Peter Cullen, Frank Welker, all of them were in that show. And they were like these weird like model kits that you could mishmash them together and make like bigger things. And they actually had like animatronics in them. Very old toys. I'll post some links about it in our Discord. But I've always enjoyed stuff like that. And I think Transformers was just an evolution of like those shows before it. Captain Power, stuff like that, like just anything like that. King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, like it wasn't like the classic, LARPing stuff. It was like, technical, and they transformed Centurion, stuff like that. I've always been into stuff like that. Oh, that satisfying click. Look at that. It didn't break, everybody.
That was loud as hell.
I'm glad it didn't break on a live stream, because imagine.
Yeah.
What about you, Chris?
What I like. Well, what I like, is it for like modern stuff or old stuff or both or whatever?
Well, I mean, whatever it is that, if you're sitting here and like, wow, Transformers, I really like whatever.
I just like the whole, like, these are robots from outer space who have character. They're human, but they're not human, I've always connected with that because, with human stuff, you get lost in so much, especially nowadays. Like, you never know, just with everything going on in the world, like, where you get lost in robots, like, that's something that's like different from reality. I think that is something that's really cool to me. And the lore behind Transformers, being at war with the Decepticons or the Predacons, and like expanded lore with the Allspark or the 13 Primes or the Matrix and all that stuff. I just think it's cool. I was hooked ever since 2007 when I saw that first movie. and the final battle of Optimus and Megatron jumping off those city buildings, and Optimus is holding Sam, and he's like trying to protect him. I thought that was the coolest thing ever in theaters. I've been hooked ever since. And then after that, my mom got me Transformers Energon on DVD at Walmart, summer of that year, I think. And then December of 2007, Transformers Animated came out. And, you know, it was just a spiral from there. Then like a year and a half later, the second movie came out. And then I got the 86 movie at Family Video that summer. And I saw that for the first time. And I was like, bro, no way, Optimus died. What the hell? And you know what? If you're somebody who watches that movie for the first time in summer of 2009, you actually get to see Optimus die 2 different times in 2 different movies. Because he dies in Revenge of the Fallen and he dies in the 86 movie. So I'm somebody, I don't know if anybody else who's younger had the same experience, but in 2009, I saw both movies for the first time. And I was like, okay, Optimus dies 2 times in both of these movies. Where do we go from here? And I thought that was... I didn't even realize that until I was looking back on it. Like, you know, I got to experience that sort of thing that you guys didn't get to experience, where you see Optimus die in live action and in the 86 movie. And, you know, just the whole story, like me coming up on Transformers, I just think that is something pretty cool. And, like, just that aspect of... you know, creativity with the characters and the stories over the years, like from G1, and then you expand on things with Japanese G1, and then you get the comic books, you get European G1, and then G2 right after that, and then, you know, G2 failed, so then you get Beast Wars. Like, just the whole history of Transformers is just so fascinating to me. I don't know why. Maybe I do have ADHD, but I just think it's so cool.
I think we all agree. Brandon, what do you got?
I was just listening to him and just enjoying what he was saying, being, you know, a youngin', trying to just, I mean, okay. I'm not gonna lie. What was the question again? Because I would have listened to his story.
I was just asking what are some of the things that when you think about Transformers that you like?
Oh, okay. Well, I came late to Transformers, but I can't give you my whole spiel because I'm saving that for my episode of my show. But what I'm going to say is I was a late bloomer. I was born in the 90s, so my first really introduction to G1 was those awful G2 commercials we saw when they were selling the toys. That Wayne said, I thought the rap was okay. He was rapping about Transformers. There's a couple artists I might have added to my playlist. I thought it was cool. Nevertheless, Beast Wars was my bread and butter growing up. And then...
Yeah, Beast Wars in the building!
Yeah, definitely a CGI. I love Rat Trap, Cheetor, and Tigertron. Those are my favorites.
Hell yeah, man.
So after that, then I watched a little bit of, I want to say the next one was Armada series, maybe? I don't know. It was on Fox or whatever it was on Fox. I think it was RID. I watched that. I kind of like that. You know, I like some of the characters in that. But the thing is that I don't like with the movies is because they started coming out shortly after that. I went, you know, I got to college and Transformers wasn't on my mind. More women and books and study and all that. So basically, when I got back into it, it was G1. I saw what was in the movies. I didn't quite like what was in the movies. I didn't like the constant changing the characters and not enough story about the characters. I felt if they would have just gave us more introduction to this character coming to Earth and then Optimus Prime meeting that character and learning about him, I think that would have been a better storytelling to keep people involved in the movie. And then after that, like I said, it's just been G1 since. So that's all I got.
Heard. All right.
You're...
So does anybody so Chris, you said you haven't gone to a store in like 3 years. Like, are you still collecting things? Like, what have you gotten recently? What are you looking forward to? Do you have anything like on a pre-order? Like, what's going on with you?
Well, I don't really pre-order a lot of things because unless if it's like an exclusive that I know is going to be hard to find, I'm going to try and pre-order it. But I don't pre-order a lot of things. And, you know, I still collect heavy. Like I Like I got a whole list of third-party figures I'm trying to get, in the coming months, and that's basically where I'm at. And I'm trying to get my older figures in line from Hasbro and Takara, like from Beast Wars and Unicron Trilogy and Robots in Disguise 2001, Prime and Animated. So it's mostly third party and trying to get older figures for me right now. But I was looking online to get the Fallen from Age of the Primes last year, and I don't know. I mean, buying that figure for, you got to go on like AliExpress now because it's like sold out everywhere. And buying that figure for like $80 something after tax and shipping and all the like import fees, I just cannot see myself doing this for newer figures like that. Like to me, like that Fallen figure, as good as it is, it looks like a great figure. I mean, that's like a glorified, I don't want to say Voyager class, but there was a size class in between Voyager and Leader class when I was growing up. I think it was called Ultra class. He's like a glorified Ultra class figure. And that was like $25, $30 back when I was a little kid. I just cannot, for like mainline Hasbro stuff. Like I'll pay big bucks for third party figures where you got, articulated fingers and ab crunch, light up eyes, light up weapons, all these fancy things, chrome stuff, rubber tires, all the whole 9 yards. Like I think that's great. Like I'll pay top dollar for a third party figure, but with Hasbro stuff, you got the hollow joints, the cheap plastic, barely any paint on them. That's where I kind of tap out a little bit. I still pick up the occasional new figure here and there. Like I think generally the 13 Primes came out really good. And I do want to complete that team, except for maybe Nexus Prime. I don't know about him. I'm still, I got to see how they do the combining portion for him in the next year or two. But I think the 13 Primes came out good. I think the animated Fugitive Waspinator they dropped was amazing, especially if you know the story behind that particular iteration of the character. Like his figure getting canceled back in 2009 when animated got canceled. That whole sort of thing really got me hooked into that figure growing up on that stuff. So I got Fugitive Waspinator that came out last year. So I get the occasional new figure, but it's mostly third party and older figures for me nowadays.
I think that's where we all are, except Vash. He only wants brand new figures, new articulation.
Yep. I don't give me no old figures. If it came out over a year ago, keep it away from me.
Jam has a point. I'm gonna say this. We as in me and him, because we're not over 40. We grew up with toys with a lot of gimmicks. Wait a minute. I just said that we're not. I didn't say you were.
Oh, sorry.
We're not.
I ain't gonna take my blood thinners.
So
is it Wayne pushing 50?
I'm close.
But basically, when we grew up with toys that were prone for that time frame, the 90s on up. Well, not until now, but they all had gimmicks. That was the biggest thing with G2. G2 had fire missiles, or it had foam things, or other things, buttons that trigger something else. So for toys not to have that now that I grew up with, it seems like I'm missing the toys more from my childhood than I am with the present toys. So a lot of times that I pay top dollar and I go back and buy are either G1, G2, or Beast Wars. Like I'm not paying top dollar for these things unless they're those type of older toys. Like something now, I can care less. I got it. Okay. It was $40. But, the stuff now that you got back in the day would be worth more now because of all of the gimmicks they put in it. Gimmicks cost money. And that's why you see all those kids' toys. They look horribly painted. They look so kiddie. But the gimmicks is what caused that toys to be $50. Like Energon Scorponauts or the Transformers 1 flip changing Prime and stuff like that. That's what makes the toys expensive. It's not the design and the articulation. It's just a gimmick. So,
You're right. Yeah.
in toys now today is what I'm trying to say.
Speaking of triggered, Brandon wanted to talk about this goofy ass Optimus Prime. So let me get this up on the screen.
Why you gotta call it goofy? Wait a minute.
It is what it is.
It's not goofy. Don't let's talk.
What is that?
Let's talk. This is a my size Optimus Prime. I'll say it's goofy all you want, but I'm getting it. For all those that bought it this morning and didn't allow me to get one, shame on you. Because y'all should have let me get one first.
Wait, I'm sorry. This is a thing? Like people bought this and it sold out?
It's sold out. Yeah, they posted
What
it.
is it?
It's a 30-inch my size Optimus Prime toy. Feel like the my size Barbie, or like those big dolls you see. Was it the my?
You talking about like the 70s like combiner robots like Ruger and stuff like that?
My Buddy and Kid Sister, like something like that?
Yeah, it's something like that. Like, you know how you used to get those back in the day, those 3-foot Power Rangers? Sort of like
that. But okay. Wait, real quick. Transformatics, he's doing a lot of, or she, Transformatics is doing a lot of commenting in the comments, and I want to let you know that it is recognized. The 54-year-old, rock on, Transformers forever. Yeah, glad to have you. Glad you're here, and I'm definitely paying attention to your comments.
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, I'm always reading the comments.
Oh yeah, I'll read them too. But let's talk about this. There's the picture you want to see right there, Vash.
Okay.
Your 6-inch figure, your Marvel Legend, and that's how big Optimus Prime is. That's almost the same size as your Unicron. Why you want it in your collection? I don't know. I want it because it's like me and Optimus Prime going to work. You know, you just put that in your backpack wherever you're going, and you got Optimus Prime. Now, the one thing I don't like is the fact he has no leg articulation. So that kind of bothers me.
No articulation?
You got articulation in the arms. You got the head articulation. I don't think you might have wrists, but I wish the legs would bend. But I'm going to pick it up because, like I said, they had the my size Ninja Turtles back in the day. They had the my size Barbies. They were about 3 feet. I think it's pretty cool because you got kids now that can have their very own my size Optimus Prime. So because it's the movie version, you're going to get a Megatron next. So think about having a 3 foot tall or almost 3 foot tall Megatron figure that you could just carry around. Your kid's going to carry around, your daughter or your nephew, and just they'll be able to enjoy this toy and enjoy Transformers is what I'm trying to say.
I have nothing against this toy.
I love your enthusiasm, Brandon.
Yeah, very much.
This would never happen.
I'm still taking this in. I didn't even know this existed until right this second. So I'm just kind of like, give me a minute. What do you think about this?
I think I don't know what to think about this, honestly. I mean, it looks like a glorified Happy Meal toy. I'm sorry. I don't know. Like for me personally with collecting, this is where I tap out, like the more like simplified, like like cheaper sort of looking figures. I just can't see myself buying this. I'm sorry.
It's like a doll. It's like a doll for like, the girls or whatever. But this is for the boys. So like I said, I don't know. Y'all never seen the 3 foot tall Ninja Turtles in Target?
I don't think
I don't go to Target much. I'm sorry.
Or Toys R Us when it was open. They had.
I spent most of my childhood in a Target and Toys R Us. That my parents gave them a picture of me and said, if you see him in the store, he is stealing. Send him home. I have never seen a life-size Ninja Turtle on the shelves. And I was in that section every day playing the damn Super Nintendo until it reset.
We're talking about presently, like 2012. They came out with those big. They had a big Michelangelo, big Leonardo. You would see them at Target. People would post them up in Walmart. I think
I do remember those.
They had like weapons and storage for their shelf. That's sort of like what this is, and that's why I think it's pretty cool to get for those that can't afford, statues of your figures and your cool figures. This is a nice substitute, just to have on your desk or whatever like that.
I mean, if you're going for statues, I don't know if this is like, this will do.
It's This is cheaper stand-in.
But I'm not against this. It's Optimus Prime. He's a beloved character. I could see a lot of people wanting this. I'm just I don't know. I'm still kind of like, is this? So this is I see it's on the Target website. Is this a Target exclusive? Is this part of the Apology tour?
I'm not sure because Hasbro didn't say nothing. It just popped up today on one of the Transformer forums, and here it is. And I was like, man, that actually looks pretty cool. And then, like I said, with the way they got all those characters up there, it's a new line. It's called the Big Figs. We're going to get Megatron next. It's bound to happen.
Is it?
And if you look, you see Bumblebee. I think I see Jazz. I think I see Starscream and Soundwave. So they continue these big size figures. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I think it's cool just to have those big box on your desk. Besides Metroplex and Unicron. So,
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that this is something that is marketed to people that live in the Midwest that have basements full of toys. That they have one of those like $100,000 6-bedroom houses with just a floor that's a basement. And that's where they have their man caves, pool tables, and crap that they buy. This is not for somebody that has restrictive real estate, such as myself, where I would have a 30-inch tall Optimus Prime figure, much less, regardless if it's Optimus Prime or whomever it is. There's like that big like robo that makes sounds Optimus Prime that you always get pissed off when you go to the toy aisle, and that's always there and not new figures. And I know you guys know what I'm talking about. It's like a big, looks like a lunchbox with legs that sits right in the corner where they could have like, you know, Commander class figures or something, but it's like they keep putting this Optimus Prime out.
oh,
This is another one of those.
Toys on the RC one that you control.
This would go on clearance at my Target the same week they put it on shelves.
So send it to
Nobody
me.
would buy this.
Send it to me. Send it to me. I'll take it.
Another comment I want to look at. Freakenstein Transformers. You said you have that 4-foot Metroplex. That's I assume the Divorce class Metroplex. I would like to see that, or if you have pictures or something like that. That I'm interested. I'm not going to buy it, but I think it's really cool. I would, if they had a Triptychon to go with it, maybe I'd get it. But I just wanted to say that. But yeah, this Optimus, I haven't even seen it in my Target.
It
You
just
won't.
dropped today, so we won't see it probably for. I don't even know if it's a pre-order. It just
You'll never see it in my
sold
Target.
out
I can guarantee you.
Like I said, it sold out so fast, and I don't know if it was a pre-order or if it's already in stock, ready to ship. So if somebody ordered it in the comments later and you see this, let's tell us if it ships or if it's a pre-order or when it's coming out. I mean,
Brandon will buy it from you, is what he's trying to say.
Oh, I will pick it up from the store or wait till it comes in for $34.99 or discount it.
Let me get that thing off the stage where I see it any longer. You just soured my whole mood. We were talking about what we like about Transformers, and you want me to talk about this thing?
You got someone about to steal your toys. And that's why you should have it to give it to her.
Oh man.
Running. There she goes.
Yeah. That's why there's locks on everything.
That's why she's pissed. That's why I say you give her that Optimus Prime, you be all right.
Yeah. No, the first thing she goes to grab anytime that thing is open is the $250 Misfire figure in there.
Wow.
Loves it because it's pink.
Exactly.
All right, so I was talking to a friend the other day, and we, as usual, were talking about Transformers the movie. You know, it is the greatest movie in cinematic history. And what I had never noticed about it before, or never just took the time to notice, was the buddy cop relationship between Hot Rod and Cup that started in the movie, and the transition of, you know, like, I know the whole movie was just made to sell toys and everything, but there, I guess maybe even accidentally, some really great things came out of that movie. Do you guys remember in the beginning of the movie when Cup was like, "Oh, you better get back to the city, like you're out here being dangerous," and Hot Rod was like, "Shut up, old timer." And then by the growth of that relationship, like them in the ship, and then when Hot Rod had to fix Cup, and then Cup was like, "Oh wow, like you actually did a really good job," and then by the end, Cup was like, "I knew you had potential." Do you guys have any thoughts about like how that whole relationship went through the movie? Like, did you guys ever notice that before? Because it was my first time.
Good story building. I guess I wasn't picking it out like you just did. I mean, I thought it was just, like Chris. Jam and Wayne. You got the older guy and you got the younger guy. I feel like he's always grooming them up to be better, or get them prepared for what he's going to be. I don't think Cup knew he was going to be a prime, but and that's one thing with the movies that Transformers doesn't do. They don't give, like, I guess you could say this is the first movie where they actually transferred the leadership, but it was only because he was dead. Other than that, Optimus Prime didn't say, you know what, my time has passed and come, let me pass it to you. I mean, he tried with Ultra Magnus, but it didn't work out because he wasn't fit. So I mean, I don't know. I think Ultra Magnus would have been a great leader, but I don't know why they didn't give him an opportunity, because he darn sure was big and beefy. I mean, he was
they gave him 2 opportunities in the movie, and he fucked that up. And then in the Rebirth, when Optimus Prime was like, I'm going to Nebulon, take care of Cybertron. And then he fucked that up too. And then even in the Netflix,
it was written for him to mess it up and not.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he said from the beginning, I'm not a good leader. And Optimus Prime was like, sure you are. But he wasn't. And even in the Netflix series, when he was like, I'm going to make a deal with Megatron, and came back dead.
That's the thing. That's how it is portrayed in the American version. But in the Japanese version, he is a leader. He is a very good, leader to the Transformers in that Scramble City episode. And I'm like, man, why they got him looking this way on one country and then over here looking like he don't know what he's doing? I'm like, this is Ultra Magnus. This is like, you put Ultra Magnus and Prime together, you're like, oh, this is Prime on steroids. This man is about to whoop some tail. But then you get the character, you're like, man, they just did him like he over there barely in the gym putting any weights on the weight rack, lifting weights. And I just don't understand somebody that big and powerful and beefy. And you see his stats. His stats is high. He could be a leader, but it's like he just never embraces it, I guess, maybe. And that's why he doesn't become a very good leader with the Matrix. I don't know, man. I thought he'd be fit.
You talking about Rodimus not being a good leader?
No, we're talking about Ultra Magnus.
Ultra Magnus?
Yeah.
Yeah, they just, I mean, it just seems like from what I've seen, they just wrote him, like they always write him to just not be, the man. Even, matter of fact, yeah, even in the new, well, I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it, but in the Energon comics, they're kind of like, oh yeah, here too.
I'm going to piss people off. I start talking about Ultra Magnus.
Chris, do you read the Energon universe?
I dropped off after like issue 13. I just like there's just for me it's not like it's the whole like I'm not seeing like the growth story wise. Like for me, I'm just like, okay, we've seen some of the, I know they're starting to branch out now. Like Megatron's getting a new design, which looks like it might be peak. You got the whole thing going on with Alita 1. I think that's probably some of the strongest points of the new comics is what they're doing with Alita 1. But just for me, it's like I really do feel like we need something fresh for Transformers because the comics, what I'm sort of comparing stuff to is how IDW was doing things back in the 2000s. Like IDW started out very G1 heavy, but then they expanded. They not only expanded the lore of Transformers, but they also expanded the cast. They started adding characters from, like they were creating their own characters, but they were also adding characters in from not just, the main seasons 1 through 4 of G1. And, a few years into IDW, that's what you were getting. A few years into the new Skybound comics, you're not really getting that. It's basically like the main G1 characters. Not that those characters suck. I think, those are freaking amazing characters. But, it's really not evolving into anything really too interesting to me. Like a few years into IDW, you were getting the stealth bomber design for Megatron. You were getting Jazz killing a human and him having to deal with that mentally. like Jazz killing a human by accident. You were getting a lot of really interesting storylines that I really don't think Skybound is really delving into a whole lot right now. I mean, I really do think the characterization of Optimus in the comics is, really grounding, him being a really humble leader and, respecting Earth and everything like that. And, the sort of like dumb sibling relationship between the combiners like Bruticus and stuff. I think that's pretty cool. The way they're handling character aspects is really nice and sort of taking it back to what people really love Transformers for, that I think has also got lost along the way. But you take into consideration like just stories and where you could go with these characters. It's not like really wowing me personally,
Heard. Okay. I hear you.
Yeah, I was listening to all that. Go ahead, Vash.
No, I didn't read Dreamwave and IDW just because I wasn't in Transformers at the time, which I really wish I had, because so many people talk about all the different characters and stories, like whatever this Lost Light situation is, or the Wreckers, the DJD.
Yeah, you gotta read More Than Meets the Eye. That is one of the greatest Transformers stories ever made.
Is that Dreamwave or IDW?
That's IDW. It's where they introduced Tarn and the DJD and stuff like that, and it is really good. And you get a lot of characterizations with stuff that you don't really get with a whole lot of Transformers iterations, and I think that's a really when I think about good Transformer stories, like More Than Meets the Eye is something that I think is probably in my top 5 or top 10. And that is something where you kind of humanize these robots in a way with that story that you really don't see in a lot of other iterations of Transformers, that I really think makes it stand out for me personally.
Can you, so you say read More Than Meets the Eye. Can somebody read just that, or do you need to like go all the way back to number 1 to have any idea? Like, because I don't even know, are these like self-contained stories? Is it one long story? Like, what's the situation here?
IDW was definitely more like how the MCU handles things, where it's like one continuous story built up over years.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you could go into More Than Meets the Eye and the Lost Light, not reading stuff beforehand and still getting what's going on. I mean, if you read stuff beforehand, you get extra added context, but you do not need to read all this stuff beforehand to get into More Than Meets the Eye.
Okay. Brandon, what do you got?
Oh, I was just laughing at Wayne. It was pure comedy. I think, like, we don't need streakers in sports. We got streakers on the day.
This is exactly why I have this on manual and at 1.4. So if I step back here, you can't see me.
Well, you can see a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah, but you can't see my kid run around in her underwear. I don't have the green screen up today.
Look, she won't do that in another 10 years, so you don't have to worry about that.
Oh, my God. But anyways, going back to the comic stuff, I actually, with Dreamwave, I did not read Transformers. That was probably one of the only titles I did not pick up. But I know ball. I have half of their comic book library sitting upstairs. They were doing a lot of anime stuff. So like when Joe Mad was like really popular with X-Men and all that stuff back then, that's when Dreamwave kind of came on the scene. And I have... I think I mentioned this on like another stream, like the conceptual artist behind the design of the Boondocks, LaShawn Thomas, is a black animator. He did a book called Arcanum for Dreamwave, and he talks about like how he drew it, where he draws the characters separate. He drew it like you would in animation. All the backgrounds he does separate, and then all the characters he draws separate, and then he lays them on top of each other. They had this book called Dark Minds. It's like a cyberpunk crime thriller. They had something that kind of played off Akira with like bike gangs and stuff. It was called Neon Cyber. They had so much good stuff at Dreamwave. I think they even had something that was like Record of Lodos War or Escaflowne. That's anime influence, and I think it was called Warlands. So it was like fantasy with swords and beasts and all that stuff. So Dreamwave comics were really cool, and I think by the time I had recognized like Transformers books were coming out, like they went out of business. They stopped releasing books, and it was a long period of time, like when a book would drop and then books like were not coming like every month. And it's very similar to anything Rob Liefeld's ever worked on. If you've ever like followed Youngblood when it came out, Rob Liefeld would drop a book, and like 2-3 months later, another issue would come out because the guy just couldn't hit his deadlines. A lot of old comic books back in the day were like that. Like there was no monthly consistency to how they came out. And I said all that just to say that, you know, like I miss the Dreamwave Transformer stuff. IDW comics, I think around that time I probably just wasn't collecting anymore. I was picking up Ninja Turtles and some other property from IDW at the time. But there is a lot of good stories in comic books, and I was saying all that also to jump into what Chris was saying, like how he kind of jumped off like 12 issues in to the Energon Universe Transformers books. Is a lot of people don't like where it's going now with Robert Kirkman writing instead of the guy that did like How to Do a Power Bomb, the guy who originally wrote it. And he, just like you were saying, how IDW pulled from like different shows and stuff, Robert Kirkman started to add like Transformers Prime characters, so Lockdown's in there, some figures that are only toys. I think like Lockdown's in there. Recently in a Cybertron battle, they added Bulkhead from Transformers Prime is in there. He showed up when they debuted Mirage.
Wow, that's that trash legacy. Like
there's the G1-ified one. Right.
That does not look good to me. I'm sorry.
But I'm just saying, like he is pulling different characters like into the story and even making his own characters up. And so now we have the Shredhead toy that's going to be coming out later next year or this year.
That figure looks great. And I want to say too, shout out to Pat Lee for keeping Dreamwave alive and well. Thank you, Pat Lee.
Now let me ask you this: since like Robert Kirkman has taken over, and I know, you know, like you said, a lot of people don't care for what he's doing. Do we think, is he a G Wooner? Or, you know, or do you think he was told? I mean, is anybody telling him what to do, or just his company?
He has full creative reins on the book, and I think Daniel Warren Johnson, he came in and pitched a 24 issue story to him, and I think that's where people are kind of. And I think anybody that collects comics, if you're collecting like a good run of a comic, and then when they switch that creative team, it's like it's either going to be hit or miss. Like if you keep picking up that book, like am I really digging like where this is going? So after 24 hit, 25 and beyond, I think we're like at 36 or 35 right now. Robert Kirkman took over the writing reins, but I think they've changed the artist 3 times since Daniel Warren Johnson had left. I think it switched to one guy, then he had like that more modern guy come in, and then it switched back to that dude that left and came back. I like the direction the book is going. I don't like it as much as I like Void Rivals.
I haven't checked out Void Rivals. And Robert Kirkman, I was actually watching an interview with him. He was on a podcast. I was watching this like a month or 2 ago. He seems like he's a Transformers fan, but I don't think he like goes into like the extra weeds and like the depths of like, okay, you got, you know, like the Fun Pub comics, and you got Beast Machines and everything. Like, I don't think he really goes into stuff like that. I mean, I don't know, maybe he does, maybe he has, considering, you know, he's involved with these, he's involved with Transformers now. But I wouldn't say he's like a G whiner to me. Like, he seems like a Transformers fan, and I don't know, you know, G1 and you know what they're doing with it with these new comics. I think, like I was kind of saying before, like they're doing a lot of stuff that is kind of bringing it back to form that I do think is really cool with how they're handling some of the characters. But I don't know. I really feel like these are robots from outer space, man. Like we need like these crazy stories that are reinventing stuff, new leaders coming into fold, which I know they're kind of doing with Elita 1, but I mean, that's Alita 1. Like, that's not really like something really bold and out there. Just for me, like somebody who's like into everything with Transformers, I mean, you got so much stuff. I know they're kind of trying to do that with Void Rivals, but you have so much stuff that they even set up in G1 with outer space stuff, like the Quintessons and, stuff like that, different alien races. And, they expanded on that as the years went on with different alien races. Like in Beast Wars, there was that whole storyline that led to the end of season 1 where the alien race called the Vok came to sort of like invade Earth or like take the planet back because they were doing like experiments and stuff like that. So stuff like that I really want to see, because that's why I love Beast Wars so much. They leaned into like the alien side of things. They leaned into like the very fantastical, doing something new with the franchise, new characters. Oh, what's that?
It's a foil cover of Void Rivals. It's one of my favorite characters in the book.
Oh wow, that kind of looks like the mask that Optimus Primal wears, the mutant mask.
Yeah, it's this weird like pig guy.
Yeah, he was. He's a G1 character. The little guy. He was always like, "Come on, Galvatron, I gotta feed my kids."
Oh yeah, I remember that now. Yeah.
Yeah. He's what is that? Void Rival season. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm all for them exploring and growing. I was wondering because like it seems like they kill off a lot of characters. Like, I'm not going to say any names, but they kill off characters. I'm wondering if they're like, we have so many characters that we can get to and bring in that we can kill off some of these because we're going to be, I guess, planning to continue the story and we'll get more characters. So I don't know if that's what they're doing or if they're really just like, no, this is really a G1-ish comic book,
Yeah.
I'm hoping that they're just like by issue 60 or 70, we'll be out in space with all new people like, Tarn and all the other people that like aren't G1. Maybe that's, I don't know. I'm just
listen. I can guarantee you, right? Bumblebee is going to come back in Transformers.
Please no. Good God.
He's going to. So, anyways, like with because I like to buy the hardcovers, they don't have like that letter section in the back. Around 25, when I actually had to start buying the individual comics, Robert Kirkman takes to like, the letter section and stuff. And they ask him like about the direction, is Trailbreaker, really gone, stuff like that. And, he's like, nobody's really dead, as far as Transformers is concerned, as long as they're, and they cover this in the book. It's mentioned like in passing. That as long as the spark still exists for the robot and they have the means, they can bring the robot back. And that's how they were able to bring Ultra Magnus back. Because Ultra Magnus was basically like in Shockwave's little sex dungeon, like forever, basically drained of every bit of energon. And he was just like a pile of nuts and bolts. And they were like, all right, here's an energon cube. And he's like, I'm back, but I don't want to be Ultra Magnus anymore because, I got mogged by Shockwave. So nobody's truly dead in that book. And Robert Kirkman also hints to that in one of the letter sections that I read.
But I mean, in the early, like way back in the, I guess, 80s, 90s with the original Transformers comic book, I think was that Marvel, people were coming back left and right also. Like I remember, I'm sure you all know the cover of like Ratchet coming back and he's like mixed with Megatron or things like they characters used to come back. All of Sunstreaker came back a couple of times. I mean, so it's not like it's new that these characters will come back. It's just kind of like, do we need them to come back?
Oh, absolutely not. I hope Bumblebee never comes back. Like I'm Bumblebee'd out from Bayverse. They should just call it Bumblebeeverse. I would like to make a stand.
They need to bring back Hotshot.
Yeah.
Bring back Hotshot.
Which Hotshot?
Hotshot's from
He's from Unicron trilogy. He was so Hotshot he was originally going to be Bumblebee actually in Transformers Armada, but they I forgot the exact story, but they switched it up to Hotshot, and that was like the yellow Kid Appeal Autobot character for like 4 or 5 years, and then they went back to Bumblebee starting with the 2007 movie. And then it's just been Bumblebee in your face ever since. Bumblebee on top of Bumblebee. It's just, I'm sick of it. Like, please either do a new character or just bring back Hotshot, or I'd even take Cheetor, because he was the yellow Kid Appeal character for years before they brought in Hotshot or they brought back Bumblebee. You know, so something like that I think would really be nice. And I think that's kind of where they might be heading towards, but I don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see, because I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think there's a lot of different ways they could go down, but I think they are starting to branch out a little bit, because I think, you know, the people involved with Transformers over at Hasbro, they're on the internet now more than they were before. And I think, I'm not going to say they watch my videos or anything like that, but they see the discourse online of, okay, we're sick of the same old, the same characters, G1, but let's switch it up a little bit. Where, you know, people are getting sick of that, because that's basically what the franchise has been for the last 10 years. And that's why in 2028, you're seeing, I'm gonna start calling it the Great Shift. In 2028, Studio Series is now mostly media for Transformers cartoons, movies, comics, concept art, video games, all that stuff. And then regular Generations is going to be new characters, new designs for legacy characters like your Optimus or Megatron, and you're going to get your new stories. So maybe if you want, you know, the Autobots and Decepticons to go to some random planet in space and fight some random aliens to add to the lore, you could get that in this new toy line by the time of 2028. Who knows? And that's why I think Hasbro is making this shift. Now, there's some downsides to that, which I'm probably going to get into on my channel at some point soon, because, you know, there are some valid concerns. But, you know, there's a lot that is going on right now in terms of, like, I really do think we're in a transitional phase with Transformers. Like, we've been kind of meandering since, I want to say, The Last Night flopped in theaters. Like, that was like the thing that really changed everything with Transformers. When you had that movie flop, Paramount and Hasbro put so much money into that. And, you know, if they didn't put a lot of money into, like, the marketing, it would have actually kind of been a profitable movie, because it still made over $600 million. But because of, like, the marketing budget and, you know, all the money they spent on it, it lost that money. So, you know, just all that stuff the last 10 years, I think Hasbro, they're really trying to find their footing right now, because there hasn't been a cartoon that's really hit in the zeitgeist since Prime, and Prime came out 15 years ago now. There hasn't been a movie that's really hit in the pop culture zeitgeist for over 10 years now. Age of Extinction was the last, like, hit movie, and that mostly made its money from, like, overseas in China. Like, that was around the time the U.S. started to tap out from Transformers movies. So I think they're really trying to find their space again in pop culture. And that's why you're getting this new Skybound show on Amazon in a couple of years. They want to kind of mooch off of what they've been doing with Invincible and do that with Transformers. They want to kind of, you know, it's why you're kind of saving money, why Hasbro's saving money on Cyberworld. They're putting that on YouTube. They're not putting that on TV. It's a cheaper budget, cheaper animation, 5-minute episodes, not 20-minute episodes. You know, they're really trying, I think they're trying to regather their bearings and see where they go from here. And I think by 2028 onwards, you're going to start to see sort of a new shift in Transformers.
Yeah.
Well, that could also lead to, with them having, like, how they're doing the Generations as like amalgamations of things, that could also lead back to gimmicks like you guys like, you know, I mean, because remember, like, Titans Return was like all headmasters, you know, like they could go into something like that, or, you know, everybody gets a spring-loaded weapon or whatever the case may be. They can do anything they want in that line now.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of possibilities they could go down in the next handful of years. That's why I'm actually really excited about this, because, you know, I'm somebody who grew up in the 2000s and the 2010s when Transformers was really in your face. It was like the hottest thing out before, like, the MCU craze took over in, like, the mid 2010s. And, with Transformers back then, they were not afraid for new character designs, different stories. Okay, we're going to come out with Transformers animated after the '07 movie, but this looks completely different, and and the story is completely different from the '07 movie. Nowadays, you don't get that. They want brand synergy. They want, if you got Rise of the Beast, okay, we got to put the Beast Wars characters in this Reactivate game, which got canceled. Okay, we got Rise of the Beast. Let's put some of these Beast Wars characters in our Evergreen thing, for those designs where you see them on coffee cups, posters, T-shirts, and stuff. And then, I think they're going to start going back to how things were when I was a little kid. And I'm not just speaking from, how I grew up in my preference, but that's just kind of the trend you're starting to see. Like, you're not just going to dedicate a whole collector line to new designs and new characters for no reason. They're really trying to put Transformers. Okay, this is what Transformers is in the 2020s and going into the 2030s, because you have a distinct era for Transformers for every decade, except for, I want to say, this decade. And why is that? I think it's because of them leaning into nostalgia bait for these newer toy lines. And nostalgia bait as in, okay, the collector line is just the same characters you were getting 20, 30, 40 years ago, but updated with new articulation, new paint, all the whole 9 yards you get with modern toys, which is great, but you don't have an outlet to expand and grow your franchise and to say, this is what Transformers is in the 2020s. And I think they're starting to realize that.
Let us hope. I to piggyback off your statement, I think once they're done with their experiment trying to make video games, and I forget what the name of that game is too. I don't know if it's called Odyssey as well. Oddly enough,
are you talking about the mobile game?
No, they have like some game that's coming out that they're shifting all their. I think that's also kind of why Reactivate was like, we'll take the loss because we're trying to make this. No, they have like some game that's like Mass Effect that they've been working on. And when the CEO was saying like we're going to shift more into video games, that's going to be the future of this company. They got really like all their chips in this game right now. That's why they don't want to invest in any movies or anything like that. Is because to make a AAA video game, it costs millions and millions of dollars, and if it happens to be a hit, like they're going to need to put those people back to the iron immediately to start working on a sequel or DLC. They're trying to capture some kind of lightning in a bottle, and they think they're going to do that with that game, and just it's unfortunate. I don't remember what the name of it is off the top of my head, but I think if that effort falters, then I think like their fallback really is going to be like what's been working out for them, Transformers and G.I. Joe.
Yeah, and there was a rumor I covered in a video a few days back. There's rumors floating around online that there's going to be a G1-centric Transformers game coming out in a few years that they're currently working on. I don't know how true this is, but I saw it being shared around on like pop culture pages last week. And I think it's great we're getting a Transformers game because, if this is true, we need a Transformers game. There hasn't been a major console game in 11 years. The last one was Devastation, 2015. And ever since then, they put all their chips into Reactivate for, they started in like 2017, I think the development was, and they canceled it a year and a half ago. And everybody is looking for that new Transformers game. And when I mean everybody, because you go online, you see the discourse, like people who aren't even really into Transformers like that, they're making content, they're making videos on TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, Instagram. And I see these videos pop up every month now like, oh, you remember the Fall of Cybertron game? This was peak Transformers. And you remember the Bayverse games. This was great. They need to bring, I mean, people are making so many videos about those old games nowadays, and they're like, where is a Transformers game like this nowadays? And we don't have that. So I think they really I think that's a major piece of the puzzle that's missing for Transformers, because when I was a little kid, that it was like, okay, you got the movies, you got the cartoons, and now you have the video games. You have a new video game, a major console game coming out every single year when I was a little kid. You had the Bayverse games, and then 2010 they come out with War for Cybertron, and then 2012 you got the sequel, Fall of Cybertron, and the trailer drops, and it's like, oh my god, okay, this is cinematic as hell, but it's just a video game. Everybody was on top of that. And, you know, I think that's a major piece of the puzzle that Hasbro is missing right now. And I think they're trying to find that piece of the puzzle, but the way they're going about it really doesn't make any sense to me. Because you willy-nilly and meander for close to 10 years on this Reactivate game, but then you cancel it, and a year and a half later, we still have no word on like what's next. You just have rumors online of a G1 game, which that in itself, it's good news. We got rumors of a new game coming, but I mean, not to disrespect G1 fans. I'm a G1 fan. I love G1, but another G1 game? We just had that back in 2015. That was the last game we got, was Devastation. And, you know, I really think that goes back to, okay, Hasbro, they need to put staple characters in staple stories and a clear, you know, design aesthetic for this game in the 2020s, because you don't have that. And if you just do G1 but slightly different for another game, 2 games in a row, you're not really piggybacking off of something that works, but you're piggybacking off of just pure nostalgia and hoping that works. You know, it's not really something that you could lean on too much. And, you know, even when Devastation came out, people, I really do feel like there's a lot of revisionist history with Devastation nowadays. Because I remember on the TFW boards when Devastation came out, people were like, why the hell is this not the Cybertron games? Why do we not have a cinematic story? Why do we not have gritty redesigns for these characters where, oh, wow, this dude's getting shot in the face. You see all the sparks flying. You see the metal flying off of his face. You know, it was a bit more toned back. It was more like 2D anime looking for Devastation. And people were like, what the hell is this? Where's our Fall of Cybertron sequel game? And there's a lot of revisionist history nowadays for Devastation. You know, it's got a little bit of nostalgia. 11 years pass. And people are just kind of like, okay, this is our last game. And wow, this was amazing. When in reality, that wasn't really the case. I mean, the game did okay when it came out. It wasn't like a massive hit. So I don't know. I think video game stuff is really just in a weird spot with Transformers.
You said a lot, and let me go ahead and jump in for you. Change the subject, Wayne. I have the games right here, looking at them because, you know, I have my PlayStation 3 downstairs because that's where all the cool games are. Just looking at these 2 games, I didn't really like Devastation as much as a G1 game it was. I didn't like the fact that it was mission-based, but it was still like one player. When I buy games, I look at the back to see if it says multiplayer. When it says multiplayer, you sold me the game, because I can play with my other friends that are Transformer fans, and we can sit there and go up together and play the story mode, or we can go on and just play death matches. That is awesome. When you take that feature away from the game, you lose a lot of you lose a lot of your buyers, because most games now are online play. Take, for instance, Fortnite. You didn't pay for that game. All you did was download it. All they have to do is make a Transformer universe and put the game for free. The way they make their money is by the new characters, the new skins, the new abilities, and the new games within that, you know, engine. And that's what kids are doing now. That's just like Roblox. That's just like Minecraft. If Hasbro was smart, they would take a page from that so that people could really, that game would never end. It's a never ending game. And they continuously just import the money because everybody's going to want a newer Optimus Prime, a newer this. You can have the Optimus Prime from Armada. You can have the one from Universe, and so on. It's like they can bring it all into one, but it's up to them to take the opportunity. So when you mention this Exodus game, that right there makes me to believe maybe it might be adult-centered Transformer game then, because with the name Exodus, they use that name in the book, and that was more adult content. Where back in the day, that book basically was not PG. They spoke adult language, so it gives me a little hope that maybe it's not going to be. It might be a teen game again. These are teens. It won't be PG like Devastation. So
that's what I was. Yeah, that's what I was getting at. When that game came out, people really didn't care about it because it looked more like a kid's game. It wasn't like this gritty, badass, more adult-looking video game. And to the point of, just reading the comments here, G1 responding to time of the end. G1 is where the money is, kid, and sharks like Hasbro follow the blood smell. I mean, while that is true to a degree, Hasbro is starting to realize G1 is not just where the money is. Why do you think you just have 3 different reissues in the last 2 years of the Commander Class Armada Optimus Prime? You got multiple reissues of a version of the character that a lot of people past, 40 and 50 don't care about. They're starting, which is why Studio Series, you're getting new G1 characters in Studio Series, but it's not just going to be G1. You're going to have Japanese G1. You're going to have the movies. They're talking about doing Beast Machines in Studio Series. I mean, 10 years ago, talking about getting new Beast Machines figures in a collector line, it was like talking about witchcraft. You're like, what the hell? Beast Machines figure updates? Who the hell wants that? Hasbro is realizing G1 is not just where the money is. And that is why you see them expanding things. They see the discourse online. And, and this is kind of the mindset that is kind of keeping this franchise backwards. Because, you can only depend on the nostalgia of G1 for so long. And also to respond to Harrison Whaley, Devastation is a good game, but Platinum Games developed it, which is why it has nothing like the Activision games. I feel like this kid needs to look below the surface of everything. I mean, I don't know what you got. I was explaining things for 10 minutes. I don't really think that's surface level, but you cannot just do another G1 game when that was the last game you had. And I was in the trenches on TFW when Devastation came out. That game, that was G1 Central, and nobody gave a hell. And
I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, you can't just rely on G1. And I mean, yeah, Platinum Games is a different. It was different than Activision, but still, the game is the way they made the game, and it doesn't work, Harrison. You need to go back to what made things really popular and expand off that for modern times, because you can't just do what worked in the 2010s either. The 2020s, it's a whole new time. We've been through 2020. We've been through all this crap in the U.S. the last 10 years. It's different times. You also got to update things. And I think Hasbro is trying to find that.
I think any company is. Brandan kind of threw me off talking about multiplayer games and stuff because he's not full Unk status yet. He's on the stepping stone to Unk. But once you hit your 40s, you don't play multiplayer games with your friends anymore. Trust me, I have a career of playing first-person shooters online with professionals. And, now having a family and needing to be quiet at 9 p.m. at night. And I'm sitting there gaming all right, he's down the hall. And they're like, why are you whispering? You in your mommy's room, bitch? And it's no, my family's asleep, you little asshole. I can't be sitting here yelling at you, to KYS and all that toxic stuff everybody does when they're playing video games. And most people my age, my time is valuable. So I don't have time to get on with the boys, because I have a family to raise. I can sit there and level up and become level 10 prestige in the next Call of Duty game every year. So not everybody wants to play a multiplayer game. That said, as far as like, you know, trying to take their foot out of the G1 pool, it's like having concrete shoes on. You know, if you're going to spend like $500 million on a video game, and okay, let's see, TF1, right? Let's try something new with this. It's not necessarily G1, it's not this, and it's kind of a mix of lore. They really goofed on marketing it. We'll say that. A lot of people wanted that to continue, and they were like, nah, because, you know, like nobody watched it. Same thing with the video game stuff. They're gonna make, if say they made like like Cyberpunk 2077 Transformers game, and not one Transformer you knew was in that game. We just started fresh, started on a new planet, new characters, new background, new everything. No Optimus, no Megatron, no nostalgia bait. Nobody would play it.
No, I'm not saying they should do that, because you look at the games that were popular back in the early 2010s and the 2000s. Optimus Prime was front and center everywhere. I'm not saying to go full on, beast machines with it and just ignore everything in the past and go completely new. What I'm saying is update these, like those two games. Update what everybody loves about Transformers. Put Optimus Prime front and center and just go off of that.
Well, I think you don't even have to use Optimus Prime. If you start, well, I'm going to be honest. We all know High Moon Studios worked on these games, which are great. They did a good job. Vash, I know you're quiet, so I'm going to let you say something after this. They did a good job. Like, they can build upon what the story was told because that sold. Yes, that's with another company. They got a new company now. But I'll just say this. If they don't want to go the way of G1, they need to go the way of a MMO. And the reason why they need to do MMO is so that they can include every Transformer from any universe, any time frame in that game. And that's why it needs to be built like Fortnite. And I keep saying that because Fortnite started out with these funny looking characters. Now you have all of these branch extensions on characters that we all grew up with, you know, Turtles, Power Rangers, G.I. Joe, celebrities, all the fandom, Superman, Batman, you know, stuff like that. So with a game like this, if Hasbro really can pull it off to do something like that, of course it will be bought and played by your fans. But to be honest, I mean, I'm just going to say this. I don't know if you're going to fact check me, Wayne or Vash. G1
ready.
Has another 30 good years before all of the people that experienced G1 may be, maybe too old to even be watching or collecting anymore. Because I'd say about 30 years later will be people in their 70s and 80s. So I guess during that time, Chris, you'll get more of your 2000s and stuff like that during that time frame, because that age group that experienced it is going to die down. So they can't focus. They have to put all their money in a G1 now because that's the people that started it. Once those people are gone, they're going to be focusing on, the 2000s, like what you're talking about.
I want to reply to what you said, because that's a good point. But I mean, you look at the trend of things. Okay, so we start with classics in 2006. That was originally a filler line because the 07 movie got delayed. And that was, okay, let's put these G1 characters in modern times with new articulation and everything like that. And the line sold, and you've been getting that ever since, which is great. But, you look at the time frame of things. At that time, G1 was a little over 20 years old. And then they went full-on nostalgia heavy with the toy lines. You get classics. You had Generations, Thrilling 30, Prime Wars trilogy, ever since classics in 2006. And when that toy line came out, that was 22 years when Transformers came out in 1984. Nowadays, you fast forward another 20 years. That is where Unicron trilogy is. That's where Animated is. That's where Beast Wars is past 20 years. That's 30 years. And Hasbro, they're not catching up to things, which is why they're starting to now. They realized, oh, shoot, we're 5-10 years behind now because we were trying to mooch off of the success of G1 for 10 years too long. And this is something that they're starting to realize. And I agree, like, you know, my generation, we're going to have more of our time 10, 20 years from now when that stuff has, you know, their 30th anniversaries and 40th anniversaries, just like you guys right now. But you also got to remember that where things started. Why do we have these G1 lines nowadays? Well, it's because they started doing it when G1 was 20 years old. And you don't have that for my generation right now. You have fragments of nostalgia bait for what we grew up with. You don't have a whole dedicated toy line. You know, you don't have like definitive anniversary celebrations for a lot of this stuff. You have like for the 30th anniversary of Beast Wars, that got sidelined this year. Like it got signed. I mean, the 86 movie anniversary, that's great. I freaking love the 86 movie. I saw that when I was 6 years old and I thought it was great. But you're not keeping up with the times. You're not updating to the nostalgia of today. They're still doing the nostalgia of 2006 is what I'm getting at.
Anybody else want to say anything before I jump in? Vash?
No, go ahead.
Say something, Vash.
Yeah, so I mean, to play off what Chris is saying, and we've had conversations on your channel too about this, you know, and other people that are insiders have talked about it too, is that when they do release Beast Wars figures, nobody buys them.
I mean, I wouldn't say that. I mean,
and let's not say nobody, but they don't do as good as, you know, what is on the shelves, and that is a fact. But also to that point, as a collector myself, I feel like I'm on the verge of missing out with them delving into Beast Wars 2 stuff, because you have Big Convoy that came out, you have like the Galvatron that they're releasing. And I just watched like this 2-hour video the other day, just going through like the history of Beast Wars 2, and that Beast Wars 2 seems more up my alley than Beast Wars and Beast Machines, just because like I hate the animation style, so I can't get into it. Regardless of how good the story is, I can't get into it. Beast Wars 2, on the other hand, is more like wacky, like anime stuff. And I think like the characters in that are more in line of like what you would see in anime, as far as like weird monsters and Godzilla type stuff. There's way more character variants, a bigger cast, a better consistent storyline. And like with these heavy hitter characters coming out, like I feel like a lot of these new figures that are going to be coming out instead of G1 figures is going to be Beast Wars 2 figures.
What? Now, pump your brakes. I gotta jump in, Wayne.
Go for it.
I know. Now there's two dominant figures that make up Beast Wars 2, which is Beast Wars Transmetals. Now, for me, I'm gonna just say this: I grew up in that stage of life, and I enjoyed it. I love Beast Wars Transmetal 2, Megatron, where he has the propeller blades that comes out from that dinosaur, and he's on roller skates. I'm sorry. During the 90s, roller skates was the greatest thing ever. You might have been grown, but that was the greatest thing ever for kids. But instead of us running, we were just skating across the concrete. So that was great. Number 2, you had Optimus Primal, as a monkey with a hover skateboard. You can't tell me that was not cool.
It was freaking badass, man.
A hoverboard. Now these are my other top favorite figures as Transmetals. Depth Charge. Who doesn't like a Stingray that turns into a tank that can fly? I mean, that was an awesome character. And then lastly, who doesn't like Rampage? He is a crab, a big, giant, ugly-looking crab with these.
Also turns into a tank.
Turns into a tank, man. And they all had gimmicks. They all had fire and missiles. I mean, that's the only gripe that I'll say about that. When you turn to Beast Machines, I pretty much stopped watching because the story was so bad I couldn't keep up. But I did have a favorite character, and that was Night Screen, because they actually gave us a Bat Transformer, and he had personality. And it looks like, Wayne, she's trying to get some of your toys. basically that character had a unique personality that I liked. So I liked the character of that, but I hated the toy. I never got the toy because the toy just did not look like the character. So if they give me an updated Night Scream character, I'm buying it because of nostalgia of the character that I like. I may not get everybody else, but I will buy him. So that's my spiel on the Beast Wars.
Enjoyed it.
I don't know if you want to talk, Vash. Do you want to say anything or no? Because I was going to make.
You're a Beast Wars fan. Come on, buddy.
My thing is, so I said everything that's happening right now. I had said this in one of our previous videos, and somebody made a comment about, they went off on me because I had said, we G1ers, we are at a stage right now where, we're 40 years since we saw this cartoon, and now we finally are getting all these characters that we wanted for 40 years. And then there are people who were like, well, I grew up with the 2007 movie. I grew up with this. And they're like, we are tired of G1. And I'm like, I don't understand how you can be tired of it. Like, we haven't even, we're just now getting it. You haven't been waiting as long. Once you are our age, you'll, the people who you grew up with and watched Beach Wars with will have the jobs that right now Mark and Evan have. And you'll get your figures then after, 40 years or so. Brandon, you said earlier, after a while, we'll be gone, which is what I brought up to you when I said, some people collect these G1 toys and they're like, this is going to be worth money. But my thing is, and I said this in our private chat, Ninja Turtles will always be 4 turtles. Star Wars will always be Star Wars. Transformers is no longer a Volkswagen Beetle, a gun, a red truck. Like, these characters have changed to a point where I think after we are gone, nobody's going to care about these G1 toys. I mean, I'm sure some of the adults now are sharing the cartoon with their children, so they know it, but they didn't grow up with it like we did, and they won't, as much as they're learning it, they won't know it like we did because it was that time. So I feel like, the G1ers, we're having our time now, and everyone else will get their time when they get their time. That's all. And I don't really like talking serious like that. Oh my God, I think I lost all of our viewers with that little speech. But that's my thoughts on the whole thing.
Yeah, that's a fair statement. That's what I said in the comments when I put that up there. Everybody has their time, and it's that time, and I don't mind it. I mean, because I find it cool. I find it something when I first came into Transformers that I never knew about. I just knew G2. And I knew Beast Wars, and then I knew Transformers RID, and then after that, I knew Girls, and then I came back to G1. So that's how I got into it.
Yeah, I mean, I just to kind of make a couple points out for what you guys were saying, and then also somebody commented here, Zillennial guy. It's hard for somebody who didn't grow up in the 80s to understand why G1 is so important right now. I totally get what you're saying, and you're right. I didn't grow up in the 80s. I grew up in the 2000s, so I don't really know, everything that went down in the 80s. But to flip that, you're not somebody who grew up in the 2000s like I did. So you can't really dictate what I'm saying. If you're saying I can't dictate, G1, because you didn't grow up in the era that I grew up in, and, you don't have those same feelings for those eras of Transformers like I do. So, and the whole point I'm trying to make here, which is, when you guys, people who are in their 40s and 50s now, when they were my age in, say, 2006, when they were 22, that is when they started the G1 nostalgia collector-based toy lines with classics in 2006. And you could say you kind of have that now with people who are my age nowadays, where things are 20 years old now with Unicron Trilogy and animated. You kind of have that, but you don't have the dedicated celebrations. And I completely get it. 40th anniversary. You guys are getting older. You guys need these characters I completely get that, and I agree. You guys should have your amazing Ultra Magnus figure and your amazing combiners. I'm not saying you guys should never have that. I'm just saying that Hasbro is taking an approach to things nowadays that they weren't doing in the 2000s that I think is, funny enough, affecting them now in a negative way than it was back in the 2000s. And, there's a lot of different things you could go into, different factors of why that is. But it's just the math of everything is not making sense to me. Like, okay, I'm the same age as G1 fans in 2006 when they got a whole dedicated toy line, right? Classics. But I'm not getting that for my stuff. That's where my headspace is. You're not. You kind of got that for Beast Wars, but what was it split with 50-50? It was split with G1. I mean, Beast Wars is G1. It's a sequel to the series, but, it's different. A lot of people don't consider it like, G1. And that's like the math just isn't making sense to me, because if that's the case, why don't we have a 20th anniversary subline for Armada? You don't have that. You know what I mean?
To piggyback off what Chris is saying, and also for folks in the audience, because I think the problem with anybody, again, in any fandom is I see things my way, and if you don't see it, then it's the highway. So as far as like, this kid doesn't understand what it was like to grow up in the 80s, and to his point is that you don't know what it was like to grow up in the 2000s, is back in the 80s, like, toy shelves were like a section of a store. There literally was a store called Toys R Us that was wall to wall toys. That does not exist today. It's two like half shelves, maybe 4 rows of a variance of a bunch of bullshit products, and maybe like a little section of Transformers. You'll see like 4 or 5 GI Joes. Everything you have to get online. Toy stores, just toys in general, that market is not what it was back then. So yeah, I can see why it would piss somebody off that's Chris's age, that all they do is, again, they don't. I'll say this, in the 2000s, they were re-releasing the commemorative series for all the G1 toys. They had RID 2001 on the shelves. They had Beast Wars on the shelves. There was 5 different lines on the shelf. Whatever your flavor was, you could go pick it up. Whatever you were into. I'm on the phone. Stop doing. I'll give you the match. So anyways, like I was saying, that does not exist today. You cannot go to the store and get your flavor. They basically have to pick and choose what they're going to release and what's going to be in the stores. So now there's a limited selection of what somebody who is a collector can go and buy. And basically, if you want the same liberty we had as older collectors to get whatever your flavor is, you have to do it secondhand on secondhand market, and you have to have money to do that. Like, you just can't go willy-nilly and spend $30 at Target and get 5 different toys. Whereas today, like, you got to spend $40, $50, $60 to hopefully win the lottery and get the one figure that you want. Otherwise, you got to wait 2 to 3 years before Hasbro gives up a slot that they could release a Beast Wars figure or a Transmetals or whatever it is, because of that limitation in the market. The market has shifted as well. So collecting is not the same today as it was in the 80s. So yeah, it would be ignorant to say that he doesn't know what it's like to grow up in the 80s, because he will never experience walking into a store and being able to grab 5 Transformers from 5 different continuities like we could, and throw them away too, like not give a shit about them until like we're old. So like I think a lot of like the G1 folks like myself need to pump the brakes as well when you start criticizing someone that's younger. That, oh, you don't understand. And it's, well, fuck. Like, of course, he can't do what we did.
Yeah, and to also make a point off that, and there was somebody saying that in comments too, like, the market isn't right yet for like Unicron trilogy or animated. Okay, this is what I want people to do. I want people to do their research. Go on eBay right now. Type in Transformers animated figures from 20 years ago. Type in a Transformers Cybertron figure from 22 years ago. Type in an Energon figure. Do you guys know what a lot of these aftermarket prices are for those figures 20 something years ago? They're expensive as hell sealed. People will pay top dollar for a 2005 Cybertron Leader Class Optimus Prime in box. People will pay $600 on eBay for a Cybertron Optimus Prime sealed. And that's from 22 years ago, whatever. People will pay $400 sealed for an Energon Leader Class Galvatron. That figure is from 22 years ago. Like, to say the market and the hype and the excitement is not there for updates of these guys, you're just not doing your research. I'm sorry, because it's the point I was making earlier. Like, the time frames, like the time frame is shifting here. 20 years ago back then it was G1. 20 years ago now is Unicron trilogy and animated. And that's the same mindset on the aftermarket that you're seeing for G1 back during the 2000s. Because I don't know for sure, but I'm sure it was the same thing, to get a sealed G1 Optimus Prime on eBay in 2006. I'm sure you were spending a few $100s or whatever for that. It's a similar thing that's going on now. And I want to say Hasbro is starting to meet that demand a little bit, but it's not the same effect as in the 2000s when they realized, oh, wow, there's this nostalgia for G1. Let's start reissuing those original G1 toys in 2003. Let's start an Alternators toy line in 2003, 2004, where they're updating the G1 characters, but they're putting them in modern cars at that time in the early 2000s. And then let's start the Masterpiece toy line, the 20th anniversary of G1 in 2004 with MP1 Optimus Prime. That was for the 20th anniversary of G1. They started the Masterpiece line. And then 2 years later, you get a full mainline toy line in Walmart and Target and Toys R Us. And that's classics. And you do not have that same type of thing. And to kind of piggyback off what Wayne was saying, yeah, I mean, times are different. You cannot get that. You cannot get multiple different toy lines at the toy shelf. So me kind of comparing that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense because times are different. And, there's not 5 different toy lines on the shelf. But I'm saying that they're not meeting the aftermarket demand like they were in the 2000s when they started with G1.
Well, to piggy off of what you said and Wayne said, I just put in the comments the reason why toys are not the same as they were in the 80s and the 90s to now. Blame the internet. Now, the reason why I say blame the internet is because kids aren't kids anymore. Kids don't gravitate to toys. I have 2 myself. I tried to find them something every birthday, and all they want is Robux money, Minecraft money, or they want money so that they can eventually go buy that. They don't want toys.
Soon it's going to be GTA 6 money.
Well, my son doesn't get to play that. He's only 11, so I'll have the game, but I don't know if I'm going to let him play it and file share it. So, but that's a point that you bring up, Wayne, and to all the viewers that are bashing Chris because he's a little younger. You can't really do that because, like I said, if today's time had more than now, okay, let me be honest.
Get off here.
Today's time has 3 lines. They have the Authentics, they have the Studio Series, they have the Age of the Primes, and then they also have the Cyberverse. So they do have 4 lines, but the lines in the 80s were all geared to one person. They didn't have Masterpiece. They didn't have all these subverts. They only had one G1 Transformers. So that's all you got on the shelf. Now Hasbro is trying to market to everybody. And I'm not saying that is a positive thing because it could be suffering. And that's why some of you guys say that there's not enough figures out there. I don't want to buy anything, but it's trying to cater to everybody from the 80s all the way to present. And while they think that's a good strategy, I don't know if it's working very well because you're leaving somebody out. There's somebody always going to be left out. In the 80s, you only had G1, so that's what you got on the shelf. Now, presently, you got so much, and they're using these Age of the Prime lines. And I was talking to Wayne earlier, so don't go nowhere, Wayne. I said there's not much I'm going to buy from the next wave because it wasn't G1 related, it wasn't Beast Wars related, and I didn't like Energon. I didn't watch that because I was in college. I did not watch Armada because I was still in college. And if it won't Beast Wars or Beast Machine, I mean, I can't say that I'm gonna go out and just drop a lot of money on something. So for that new line that's coming out next year, I'm gonna be saving money, and then I'll probably be using my money to buy older toys. So that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, and what you were saying too of like Hasbro's trying to cater to everybody, you know, like the whole thing of the gimmick toys, and that's what takes up a lot of toy shelf space for Transformers nowadays. It's the gimmick toys for the 5-year-olds. And I'm not saying that, you know, that's like something that Hasbro should not be doing, but that is a new thing that Hasbro started doing with Transformers. That wasn't always the case. Like, and this goes into deeper stuff, like, you know, making stuff dumber for kids nowadays than when I was a kid 20 years ago, or when you guys were kids 30, 40 years ago. Like, when I was a little kid, a gimmick toy was Leader Class, Revenge of the Fallen, Optimus Prime. And if any of you guys know what I'm talking about, that thing is not a toy for 5-year-olds, but that is what it was back in 2009. That thing has like 50 steps for transformation. It's got ankle pivot, double hinged neck, wrist swivel. That is not a toy for 5-year-olds, but it was back then. Like, Hasbro is not the I think they need to go back to that strategy, because on top of that, like, to what you were saying, Brandon, like, kids are not kids anymore, and they want the cool stuff. They want things that look cool. And if you're trying to get new kids into stuff, you cannot release Cyberworld Skybite for $15 and he doesn't have an elbow joint and he's got barely any paint on him. He looks like a freaking Happy Meal toy you would get in 2008. You just can't do that when you're trying to get new kids involved. Like, I think that's a major issue that I've been bringing up on my channel. Like, there is not cool stuff for little kids. You have gimmick toy slop. And that started, how did it get this way? Why did that start? It was from the 2007 movie. That's when they started with, okay, we're going to do a subline of gimmick toys that look terrible, and their whole thing is they transform in one step. That started in 2007, and they've been doing it ever since. And I think that's an outdated strategy, because that worked at the height of Transformers back in the, when the movies were popping. You had a video game coming out almost every year. You had the cartoons popping on Cartoon Network and the Hub Network. And you don't have that anymore, but yet they're still doing these gimmick toys that worked 15, 20 years ago. But it's shelf warming nowadays, and you go to your Walmart and you find Earthspark or Cyberworld Optimus Prime in the clearance section for $2. Like Hasbro needs to get rid of that whole gimmick toy strategy, and I think that would probably help things. Obviously, I don't know for sure. I'm just speculating, but I think that's an issue not even a lot of people bring up in the fandom, or a lot of people with channels bring up. That's a thing that is really taking up not only budget and resources for Hasbro, because they have to make the thing. They have to spend money making it. And why not use that for figures that aren't selling nowadays and put that into the collector line and make badass toys that 5-year-olds can still buy. Because when I was 5, 20 years ago, I was getting the deluxe class Revenge of the Fallen figures. And those figures were complex. They were not, simplified gimmick toys,
Yeah, I'm going to interrupt and I'm going to have Vash take us home, but I do want to answer that really quick. Is that also for the people that are listening? Chris is talking about these awesome toys when he was 5. The person that was buying those toys when he was 5 was not Chris. Now that he's an adult, this is what most of the fandom talks about. Everything's too expensive. I'm getting priced out. I've seen people say that, I defaulted on my mortgage because my pre-order from Ultra Magnus went through. And these are people that are transitioning into adulthood, that are now buying these toys for themselves. And they see that it's not that easy. So you can also imagine newer parents like myself that, I want to get something cool for my kid. I'm not going to go and get my kid, a $60 Optimus Prime figure because she saw it in a movie. There's no way in hell she's going to get that one-step changer, that two-stepper. But that's all I wanted to say about that. Vash, we've hit the time. Take us home. Let me know your thoughts.
Well, this has been a very interesting conversation. ChrisJaam, we were very, very happy to have had you here talking to us. I can't speak for anyone else, but you and I have had conversation before. You know that I watch every one of your videos, so this has been a delight for me to have you here, and I'm glad we had this chat.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem at all. And we'll look forward to the next one. We are going to end the show now because we've been, not that we want to. I could sit here and talk to you guys for the next 3 to 4 hours without even blinking, but we've run our course. We don't want to bore anybody to death. So we're going to head out, but we will be back next Sunday with the Energon T podcast with myself. And I just want to say good night, everyone. I'm your friend Vash Triqqerhappy77 on Instagram and YouTube. And Wayne, you want to say good night to the ladies and gentlemen of the internet?
Yes, thank you everybody for joining, and I'll go ahead and I'll pass it to Brandan.
You make it seem like this is the saddest time of the day when we gotta just get off and go.
It is sad. I want to keep talking about Transformers. This is great, but we gotta go.
Well, everyone, thank you for tuning in to see everybody on the show. This is Brandan, the creator of YeahBro Entertainment. We just want to say we really appreciate you coming out tonight. All the comments, we was able to pick out some, and we all read them. We will go back and read them. You will be heard. Like I said, feel free if you have any more for ChrisJaam, reach out to him on his channel or reach out to any of us. Feel free, man. You guys bought up key figures, post them on our community so that we can continue the conversation, talking with those who don't know about the channel, and we can also introduce it to the channel next Sunday. So that's all I got, bros. Once again, thank you for spending your time watching our pod stream tonight. We want to thank our guest, ChrisJaam, for being on the show. And ChrisJaam, you are the guest. Give us your wrap up.
All right, I want to say thank you guys for having me. Thank you guys for watching my videos, Vash and stuff, and everybody who supports me. I really appreciate it. It's been a fun few years growing my channel and really having a voice in the community for certain things that doesn't even really get brought up. So it's really nice talking with you guys. Same thing with what Vash was saying. I could talk Transformers for freaking 10 hours if I wanted to. But yeah, thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and ChrisJaam, you're on both YouTube, Instagram, and what else are you on? Are we missing anything? We want people
TikTok.
to be on.
Yeah, I just had to restart my TikTok because they thought I was like under 18 and they took down my account. I got a baby face. I'm not even 18 anymore. I'm close to a decade past that.
And that'll do it, everyone. So thank you. Please feel free to follow the respective creators. Hit us up on our Discord, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Later, bros.
All right.